Hola, hola chicos, es señorita Schaefer otra vez y hoy vamos a practicar con la gramática de 3A. Vamos a hablar de los verbos irregulares en el pretérito. So we're going to start with hacer. Hacer es un repaso para ustedes de Español 1 y vamos a continuar con tener, estar y poder, y esos son nuevos. Those ones are new. If you want to see more about this, la información está en página 142 en sus libros de texto. So our big question for the day is pretty straightforward. How do we conjugate hacer, tener, estar, and poder in the present tense? And the beautiful thing about these verbs is that they have the same endings, and that's why they're grouped together. So we're just going to learn our stems and then our endings, but please go ahead and write that at the top of your paper and then leave some space to answer it when we're done. So we're going to start with hacer today because hacer is the one that we learned in Spanish 1. All of these verbs in the past tense have an irregular stem. So the irregular stem of hacer is is. So we'll go ahead and fill in is. We have a special case in the la form here. If any of you guys remember that, then extra points to you, and I'm amazed. Well done. And then we'll just add our irregular endings. So these are kind of a mix of the endings that we've used in the preterite. And remember that on irregulars in the preterite, there are no accents at all. So we have hice, hiciste, and this is the weird one. Because we don't want to say hico, we change the C to a Z, just like in a cargar verb. Hizo, hicimos, hicisteis, and hicieron. Please make sure that you have this example of hacer down, and especially that you have these verb endings down. That's the most important part, because that's what we're going to carry throughout the rest of the lesson. So we're going to use these endings that we learned with hacer to do the other verbs in a very similar way. So let's start with tener. Tener in Spanish means to have, and our irregular stem is tuv. So tuv will be our stem all the way through. Hizo is the only one that has that weird L form. You don't have to worry about that in the others. And then we'll just use the same endings that we used with hacer. So we have tuve, tuviste, tuvo, tuvimos, tuvisteis, and tuvieron. Please make sure that you have this one down in your notes, and then we'll move on. Alright, so we did hacer, we did tener. Now we're going to do estar. Estar means to be in Spanish. And the irregular stem is estuv. So you'll see it's actually just like tener. Tener is tuv, estar is estuv. So we'll go ahead and start with that stem throughout our conjugations. And then we'll add the same endings that we added on estar and on hacer. So you have estuve, estuviste. That's not an accent mark, sorry. Estuvo, estuvimos, estuvisteis, and estuvieron. Please make sure that you have this one down, and then we'll move on to do our one last one. Our final verb for today is poder. Poder means to be able to, and the irregular stem is pud. So we'll go ahead and fill in our stems. And then we'll add the same endings that we did for the other verbs. Pude, pudiste, pudo, pudimos, pudisteis, and pudieron. My class last year really liked this word because they said it sounded like put the air on, like the air conditioning. Pudieron, put the air on. All right, we have one little bonus verb for the day. Dar means to give in Spanish, and this one is irregular just because it doesn't have accents, and then it actually uses ER-IR endings, not AR endings. So you just take off the AR, and then you add these same endings that we've been working with. Di, diste, dio, dimos, disteis, and dieron. And let me just clarify really quickly, when I say the same endings that we've been working with, I mean the same ERI are endings that we've been working with. Notice that these are different from the endings of the irregulars that we learned today. Our big question of the day was, how do we conjugate hacer, tener, estar, and poder in the preterite tense? The biggest thing that you need to know is the stems and then the endings. So remember, we have is, tuv, estuv, and pud. And then make sure that you know your endings as well. Iste, o, imos, isteis, and ieron. Please make a mark for yourself that there are no accents on any irregular verbs in Spanish. And if you have any questions, please go ahead and write those down on your papers so that you can remember to ask me when you see me next. Once again, if you need extra help with any of these things, there are videos on Moodle that can help you, both songs to help you remember the stems and some lessons that conjugate some of these verbs. Gracias por escuchar y hasta luego.